So it's Amanda with Mills River Doodles, and I thought I would do a video today mostly for our future puppy families. This is Phoenix. She is a 12-week-old Aussiedoodle, a mini F1. She's one of our hopeful future mamas here at Mills River. She does have a guardian family that she's going to go home to in a few weeks, but we still have her for a little while, and we're having a lot of fun. But I did think it would be a good time to talk to some of our families about what to expect when you bring your new puppy home. So as breeders, we've had several litters now, and the common things that we hear back during those first few days, I thought it would be good to just go ahead and kind of lay out what to expect. And of course, it's more fun to watch a puppy while we're talking about it. So that's what Phoenix is gonna do. But the one thing that we notice mostly on the car ride home, we try not to feed them right before we know you're coming to pick them up, because puppies have a tendency to get car sick a little bit more than once they're full grown. So we do take our puppies for car rides before you pick them up to try to get them used to that socialization aspect. But you do want to come prepared. So a lot of times it will just be maybe once or twice if you've got a long trip, but I would bring paper towels, things like that. If it becomes a problem where even when they're older, you are still noticing it, there are some tricks that we have noticed that helps. You can kind of wrap the puppy up or the dog and hold them. If you notice them drooling around the mouth, that's the first sign to where they're probably going to throw up. The vet can sometimes prescribe a motion sickness pill about 30 minutes before you're going to take a long trip. The meclizine that you get over the counter, you can actually do that too, but I would double check with the age of the puppy and the dosage. So ask about that with your vet. If you're taking a long trip, we've done that once or twice. We had a puppy that was going on a flight, and so our vet prescribed some medication. Phoenix is showing you already the next thing I was going to talk about. Is that enough with the car sickness? Another thing that we notice our puppy family struggling with, especially at this age from about 11 weeks to probably 14 or so, is the biting. Puppies learn a lot about the world around them through their mouth. And you will notice when a puppy's playing with their other litter mates, if one of them gets too rough, they will yelp really loud. They'll go, ah! See what I just did? So she was getting my wrist pretty good, and I yelped, and that kind of tells her, hey, that's too rough. If the yelping doesn't work, a puppy will get up and they'll go do something else. And so we want to kind of mimic that with the way that we react to the puppy. So especially if you have kids and things, teach them to make a sound, to either say no really, strongly, or to yelp like a puppy. If the puppy continues to do it, then just stand up and leave. Once they learn that they're not getting any benefit and that you're not willing to play, a lot of times that's enough for puppies. Some Aussiedoodles can be more stubborn. So we have a few more tricks that you're welcome to reach out to me and I can discuss over the phone with you, just depending on the individual dog. If it gets to be a big problem, replacing your hand with a toy, always a great option. And the other thing is they can get overstimulated. So if you notice that your puppy is biting, and it's been a while since they've taken a nap, it's usually best to kind of put them in their crate for a little while, or if they have a pen, a play area, just to give them some just downtime. Phoenix is more, she's ready for a game of fetch. So that's another thing. It can be also pin-up energy. So if you just let them out of their crate and they're biting at your clothes, get a toy. That would be the time to get the toy and really play fetch. But it's a common problem. They usually outgrow it, but it does need to be addressed and they need to know their boundaries. So that's very common with new puppies also. Some puppies are shy. So when you come to meet your puppy, if it's acting a little bit shy around you, that can be completely normal. It does not mean that the puppy will always be that way. Sometimes it can be phases. A lot of dogs will go through phases as they grow up. So there'll be a week or sometimes just 2 or 3 days where we will have a puppy that is scared of things. And then a day later, they're the bravest puppy in the whole litter. So with shyness, if you have a puppy that's especially shy around new people, make sure you don't force the matter, especially in these early months. Let the puppy get to know the person and kind of welcome them at their own timing. Our puppies, you won't notice that much with Aussiedoodles, honestly. We socialize them a lot and get them used to different kinds of people. So we don't have a lot of that where anybody... What is it? You're sidetracking me. You are. You're a very sweet distraction. We don't notice that a lot, but it can be normal. Another thing is bowel movements. I hate to, talk about that, but it is normal for when a puppy goes home, they are going to be getting more treats. We do send them home with some treats they're used to. Their appetite may change. You may notice them not eating as much. Good girl, she wants me to throw it. You may notice them not eating as much. Completely normal for a few days. The kibble, they will be eating just dry kibble by the time they go home. And so it's good to just kind of leave it down for them unless you have other pets. And then that can be an issue. But if they're the only dog in the house, you can just leave the kibble down for them and they can just get it as they want it. And then if their stool gets a little bit loose, you can usually add just plain pureed pumpkin, like from the can from the grocery store, not the pie mix, just the plain 100% pumpkin. Just maybe like a tablespoon or so. Our puppies also are used to plain yogurt. Do not get the one that has xylitol in it. That can be actually deadly for dogs. So make sure it doesn't have any xylitol, which is like a sweetener that they use. Make sure it's just plain yogurt. A tablespoon of that once a day can also help. There are probiotics that you can buy. It's usually not an issue that lasts long. Thankfully, our puppies have pretty good systems. Our adult dogs are healthy in that way. If you continue to have problems, the Munster dog food that we use is really good about working with our puppy families. So we did have one puppy family that went through like a time where it seemed like they were trying to figure out if it was the food that was bothering them. Good girl. If it was the food that was bothering them, and the company was really great to kind of work with a new formulation and things like that. So definitely let us know. That's things that we like to know as breeders. We need to know if we have any bloodline problems, where a lot of times things like that are not necessarily genetics, but doodles can be more prone to a sensitive tummy. It's usually stress related, honestly. Just because they're more sensitive as far as like with people and things like that, aren't you? You're smart. She's learning to play fetch already. House training, that's the next thing I kind of wanted to start and talk about. So you will be going home with a clicker. I do not use these for my adult dogs, the clickers. She already knows what's coming. But what it does is it's an easy way for us to let the puppies know when they do something good. So she's learning to sit and she's learning to lay down. Can you sit? And then can you lay down? Can you lay down? That one's a little harder. I'm just going to be patient. Sometimes it's easier to do it from a sit. Come here, sit. Good girl. Now lay down. Good girl. I'm replacing the clicker with a good girl already because you're not going to have the clicker with you all the time. And so I would recommend when you go home, use the clicker. So when you take them outside to go potty and they go potty where you want, you click. If you notice that it's disturbing your puppy, then I would wait until they're finished before you click. What that does is it marks the behavior. So for the early time of having them, when you're teaching them to sit and lay down and go potty outside, things like that, go ahead and use the clicker. But then I would start replacing it with a word, like some trainers will use the word yes or good girl, things like that. So that is just really going to make your training much quicker, because they have already established through the puppy culture with us that when they hear that noise, they get a treat. And so there have been studies that even show that when a dog hears a bell or something that they've associated with a treat, that they'll actually start like slobbering because they know it's a good thing. So it marks the activity in their brain. So definitely use that clicker the first few days for anything that you want them to do. I'm going through the nibbling phase again. I wanted to add a few more hints and tricks for house training, because I know that's one of the biggest hurdles that our puppy families are going to face, is just getting that dog used to being in the house and viewing that whole house as their den. So Phoenix is distracting me again. The one thing that I would recommend is when you first bring them home, take them out about every hour. You will learn your puppy's schedule, definitely after every meal, definitely after every nap. When you go outside, a lot of times smaller puppies, they don't empty their entire bladder on the first squat. So let them go, and then make sure you stay outside for 5-10 minutes to make sure they're done. Reward them every time that they go outside where they're supposed to. So use the clicker, use the treats to reinforce that behavior. If you're going to be gone for an extended period of time, our puppies do come trained to a puppy pee pad, but at the age that you're going to be getting them, they will rip the pee pad to pieces. So I would recommend getting one of the puppy pee pad. It's like a grate. It's like a holder that you can get from like PetSmart and things like that. And they work very well at keeping them from eating it. But it is a process. Each puppy's different. We can give you some more pointers on that. If they do have a mess in the house, make sure you use like an enzymatic cleaner, something that's definitely going to get that smell up. And then if it really becomes a problem, I try to limit the amount of area that they have access to in the house. And then as you get to trusting them more, as they're proving themselves, then you expand that area. That can be with baby gates, that can be with puppy areas and things like that. So that's just some quick tips for that. So let me see if I can think of anything else that we hear from. Hiccups. It is normal for puppies to get the hiccups. So if you notice your puppy, your new puppy at home kind of doing the bouncing thing, completely normal. If it lasts for a really long time, or if you notice it a lot, then I would talk to the vet about it, but it's not an issue. They can get bumps on their stomach, like little pimple-like bumps. That can be completely normal also. I may have to look at my list real quick and make sure that I covered everything that I wanted to. Early crate training. Okay, so we do crate train our puppies. We try to get them used to it being a safe place. A lot of our puppies are doing really good. We started something new these past 2 litters with it's called a snuggle puppy, and it will come in every puppy pack. It's got a little heartbeat in it. We've heard really good reviews from it. We actually got the idea from some of our first puppy families that had used them and bought them themselves. And so we decided to include it in the puppy pack because it has really helped them not be as, they go from having a whole litter of puppies to just kind of being by themselves. With Aussiedoodles, it's not usually a problem because they love people so much that they don't really miss their brothers and sisters. They're having so much fun with their new family. But it helps at night, especially. I would not leave it in the crate if you're going to go out during the day and your puppy's not necessarily tired and might chew it. I would not leave it in there then. But at night with early crate training, putting the crate beside your bed can also help. Putting a cover over it can help calm the puppy down. We do play classical music. Sometimes that helps with some puppies. If you put something over the top, I would be careful that if you notice your puppy pulling it in to chew on it, you're going to have to put a piece of cardboard or something that's bigger than the crate so that the blanket kind of lays out from the side. She knows the treats are up there. Come here. And do it that way. So you can also, if you notice, come here, sit. If you notice your puppy still struggling, I would start feeding the meals in the crate. That's another thing that helps with biting that I didn't mention is actually hand feeding. If you really notice your puppy having a lot of issues being really mouthy, you can hand feed part of the meals and that can help. Or if you've got, a kid where it's really chewing on the kid, have the kid feed them part of the meal. So that's a good idea for that also. But as always, reach out to us. I love talking dogs. I love talking puppies. And so you're not going to bother us at all with any new puppy questions. But I hope this helps. Just so when you take your new puppy home and this is happening and this is happening, you'll kind of know, hey, that's completely normal. So I will send this out to the puppy families and then have it on YouTube. Only other thing, I keep forgetting things. If you notice your puppy throwing up clear or yellow bubbly vomit, it usually means that they're actually hungry. So puppies cannot go as long without a meal as an adult counterpart. And so if you notice that, it's very likely that they're hungry. It could be also that something had irritated their system. Vomiting can be very normal in puppies. And so as long as it happens just maybe once, I would not have any questions about it. If it continues to happen, if there's any other symptoms that worry you at all, you do need to call the vet. So like I said, reach out to us anytime and we'll also try to help. But that's kind of just the normal things for a new puppy. So you're a good girl. You ready to play fetch? Her mama loves fetch too. Good girl, good girl.